Hello viewers and welcome to Hippie and Race Car. So today I'm going after some Supras and kind of speed running them in a sense. Speed driving? I mean, it's a racing game, so duh, right? But what I mean by that is rather than trying to make this a challenge and race hard against them and overtake and everything, I'm just trying to get through the game. I'll get the challenge when I get humans in real races, online races. But for these, under 700 performance, needs to be turbo, so I'm pulling out the NSX that I have decorated. It's a Group 3 car, decorated up with my Wolf livery. And away we go. So Interlagos, race 1. Track I do know quite well, but not in this car, so I was having a little trouble with some of the braking points. You can see I braked way early, and at this point I'm trying to have a completely clean race. I'm honestly trying not to hit anyone, which for the most part I managed to succeed. Coming down the back stretch here again, this is one of those where do you brake, learning as I go and trying not to run into anybody. So I knew he was going to go wide. I figured I'll go underneath you, no problem, get past him. Coming into the infield section, this corner is really fast. It's really interesting because you can actually go into it quick if you're trail braking. I just braked early because I figured, you know what, these guys are, I don't know what they're going to do necessarily. This dude actually brake checked me. Right there. Now, I guess he was slowing down for the corner, but at an interesting moment, shall we say. There we go. See you later. Except I didn't get quite past him, and then I kind of rubbed elbows a little bit. Finally did get past him. Coming into the last corner. This one's extremely important to get right. When you're passing people, not nearly as easily. And again, he just slowed way down. I was not expecting that. So I hit him. So now, clean race, bonus, out the window. Coming up the hill, this is all full throttle, at least in this car. The infamous last section of Interlagos, where Massa and Hamilton had an interesting event. You can see a little sideways into that. Don't touch the grass. It is it's rather slippery. We go again down the back straight. Dude just moved over real nice for me. I thought, thank you very much. Fifth down to, you could probably take this in third in this car, but it's telling me second, so I kind of dropped into second to make sure I didn't go wide. Again, I'm trying to keep it in between the lines. I'm trying to do as clean a racing as I can. It's good practice. It's a good habit to get into, especially when you're going to get into online races, which I've started to now. So one of my previous videos, I did quite well in that the daily race A. I ended up in pole position, finished the race in second. It was my second online race ever, and I finished in second, so I was really happy with that. Here we go, trying not to run into these guys. I'm going to have a much more powerful car. I get that. That's the point. I'm just trying to get through these. I don't know how many cafe menus there are. I've seen that apparently once you're finished, there's a bunch of extra ones that open up, so that's interesting. At this point, I'm just trying to get through this, see where this actually leads. Final corner. And up along straight now. Dude in front of me, I can't remember, but I think he was driving the Supra, which has extraordinary top end speed. So if you're looking for a good car for a track that has long straights, not necessarily tight corners, the Supra's not bad there, but it definitely excels in the long straight department. What are you driving, dude? Oh, the Giulia, that's right. And again, I'm just trying not to run into him. Just like, dude, I know, you're on the racing line. I'm trying to get by you. And then it does. That's it. Up into first. And now it's a matter of properly learning the track and where the braking points and whatnot are. So we've got, again, down a second. Up into third. As, his name eludes me right now. Great advice from Sterling Moss. Sir Sterling Moss. It's better to go into a corner slow and come out fast than to go in fast and come out dead. Definitely good advice. Went through the infield section. You got to be careful again. You don't want to touch the grass if you can avoid it, if you're going to be accelerating, because those wheels will be spinning much, much faster than the other ones. As you can see here, I get a little bit squirrely going into this corner. And that's a weird corner because it's just a little bit off camber, kind of uphill. It's a good challenge, just don't mess it up. Final corner, down in second gear. Missed the apex. Well, I hit it, but I didn't kind of crawl all over like I was kind of hoping to. Long, flat out section up the hill. Then again, trying to figure out where should I brake for turn 1. So if you miss turn 1, it screws you up for 2 and 3, which kind of compromises your run down the back straight. And I missed that, went too wide. I had to go slow through that one. Kind of not quite the right angle on turn 3. In this car, I'm not concerned about it in this particular race, but definitely something I want to be working on. Your braking points and your turning points and your acceleration points are what determine how well you do in a race, simply put. Again, through the infield, this fast, but not too fast, mind you. And then this section, this whole section is just a little bit slow. You got to be careful coming through here. That was really slow going through that. It was way too slow. Being real careful. Then realize don't really have to be that careful. See on the next lap I'm not quite so slow and snailish. Let's see if I hit this one right. Nope. Still just a hair wide. You only have to have 2 wheels inside the white line. So if it's a corner where you can cut it a little bit, it shortens the track. And the secret to winning races is to go as quickly as possible, obviously, but also shorten the track where you can. So cut corners, but in a legal way. You don't obviously cut them too much. You gotta keep 2 wheels inside the white line. That's your playing area. Stick to it. And this is where clean race bonus went completely into the pooper. Well, I'm just gonna go sideways and smack into the wall. I don't advise it. It's not really good for the car. It's not good for winning races. And then I braked way too late going into this. Super wide. Again, got squirrely. Not exactly having the best time through here. Pushing a little bit harder just to see, you know, how much can I? Because again, I got a car that'll potentially do it. So at this point, I'm just trying to learn this track. How fast can I go? How much can I push? There you go. 2 wheels. Still in play. And if you notice a major difference between this video and my previous videos, oh yeah, here we go. Touch the grass. I got lucky on that one. Difference between this and my previous videos is the camera, the view. It was about halfway through this race when I realized I feel really tall, and at that moment I thought, oh my god, I'm sitting on the I'm on the roof. I normally drive cockpit, and I just didn't. And I thought, you know what, let's race like this for a while. I've never actually done this. Always been kind of a purist in that respect. Simulation, I want to be in the car. And there we have it. First place for Wolf Racing. And that 63,000 credits. Yay. Huzzah. That wins me the same car that my grade 8 English teacher used to drive. And it was in the parking lot, of course, every day. We'd get off the bus and it was like, oh, such a nice car. Hers had the wing at the top of the window, though, instead of on the back of it. And it was just absolutely gorgeous. She was a cool teacher too. Next we have the Circuit de Saint-Croix. I do not know this track. So here I am learning the track. I've raced on it before, but I just don't know it very well. So I'm learning the track, trying not to run into anybody. And, well, let's see how I do. Some very fast flowing corners through this track, as I've finally discovered by about lap 3. Once you get into the flow, I imagine this is a really, really fun racetrack, because there's some great sections where you're super fast, and then it's down to 4th, and then down to 3rd, and then down to 2nd for a series of corners that just get a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter. It's just lovely when you get it right. Oh, dude. Just about hit him. So far, so good. Yeah, there we go. 4th, 3rd, 2nd went way wide into this. Okay, well, there's a big bump right there at the end of that corner. You got to be kind of a little bit careful that it doesn't throw you too far outside. You hit the edge of the bridge, and that would be bad. So I'm trying. I don't know whether these guys. I don't know where my braking points are. So I'm trying to just let them have space, not run into anybody, get past them, but not run into them. Kind of anticipate where they might be going. Kind of the key to the whole thing is, if you know they're going to be turning into a corner in front of you, don't go inside them. They will hit you. They have the racing line and they're entitled to it. So realize, just go around the outside. Or wait till the end of it, do a little switcheroo. Like that. Kind of switcheroo, you know what I mean? That concept. This is one where I always seem to brake a little bit early. I finally figured out that you don't have to brake way, way back there. Slowly making my way through the field. I'm not trying to... I got the car to completely dominate. I know that. I'm not worried about that. Like I said, I'm speed running this. Making my way through the field. It's a long lap, too. There we go. Up into the podium. And that's a corner that I was kind of always doing slowly. It's not nearly as slow as you think it is. You can actually carry a fair bit of speed through there if you do it right. Just got to be careful not to hit the outside wall, but you can carry a lot of speed through there. This one, let's see how much I can miss the apex. Apparently we weren't getting along today. This is a long, fast section that ends in kind of a 2nd and a half, 3rd gear corner. These guys fighting for position. I'll just go like, yeah, I'll just take them both. Peace out. And that was the end of them. Now it's just a matter of how well can I do. Oh, no. He's coming back at me. Because I slowed down early. This is one of those corners where it's super fast. And then as you go into it, you drop into 4th, then 3rd, and 2nd for this one, and then power out. Make sure that's their bump. There's a bump back there. Don't hit the fence. Cross the bridge. At this point, I'm thinking, I don't remember whether this goes left or right. So much I don't know this track. I'll wait for it to appear on the little mini-map down in the corner. Oh, yeah, I'm going left. Okay. Position my car right for the racing line. And this corner is that it starts off fast. You can actually go into it fairly quickly, but then you got to be dropped down a little bit so you don't hit that or that, which will bounce you right back across the track if you do. Super fast section. You don't have to brake till about... I was braking it around the 120. And then this was careful. You got to be a little more careful than that with the gravel on the outside. Well, you know, it's gravel. Gravel and racing cars don't get along very well. That's why we try to keep them apart as much as possible. This was the whole section, those last 2 corners, and I couldn't quite figure out the best way to get through there. Yeah, this, again, fast, but not super fast. It was so slow. Down the main straight, and again, that's apex, schmapex. Still learning this track. And I didn't hit anybody, so if I can just get to the end without crashing, I might actually still get my clean race bonus. I don't care about the credits, it's more about the fact that I did it. Well, I mean, I do care about the credits, don't get me wrong, I'm not rich in this game yet. I see some people with, 30 million credits needed to buy a car, and they go, okay, click. I'm like, oh, I bought a race car, and which one should I buy? Took me a while to decide. Bump. It's a crazy bump. It's kind of vicious if you hit it wrong. And the helicopter hanging out by the bridge. He's now, this time I really, okay, I go left at the end of this. I know where to go. I know how to position my car before I get there. Took that really slow. That's definitely a third gear corner. But again, you gotta do it right. You gotta slow down the right amount to not understeer into the wall. And understeer is one of my sponsors, so a certain amount is good. They don't mind that. But they don't want their logo rubbed off the door, so you can't do too much. You don't want to hit anything. And this one, again, don't brake too early, but don't brake right. For me, there are probably people who can do it because they're much better drivers than I am or whatever, but at the beginning of the curbs is just kind of pushing it a little bit. And again, these two corners that I didn't quite ever figure out the proper line through there. And second, but it's not second. You see, I had so much room to be able to go wider there. Probably should have just stayed in third. One of the things about sim racing is you can actually take the corners really, really fast and find out that that's bad. I never did hit that apex. You can go into them fast and find out that it's not a good idea because it's sim racing, but in real racing you go in a little slower and you work your way up. Again, we got this super nice long flat out, but be careful because it gets a little twisty turny. You got to be in the right place to get the right line in at decent speed. Oh, helicopter's on the other side of the bridge now. Oh, there's two of them. My goodness. There we go. Excuse me. Braking at about 100-ish, 120-ish. That one I came through a fair bit better. This one is where things went. Ugh. I forgot to slow down. And, yeah. Well, they still got an understeer sticker on the right-hand side, so they can't be that upset with me. So now I'm wondering, am I gonna get my clean race bonus? I mean, I didn't hit any other cars, so my biggest concern when I get into online racing regularly is just not wrecking other people's races. Race clean, get through without banging into anybody. Even a little wheel banging and fender banging once in a while is inevitable when you're racing hard, but under control so that it doesn't cause either of you to end up out of the race. And that's when things are super, super fun, because if you're racing hard, even if you don't come out ahead, if it's good, clean racing, it's just so much more fun. So here we go, third. Slow down a little bit more, but I stuck it in third, and definitely a faster corner than a second gear. And that would be that. Another win for Wolf Racing. Whoopee. Speed racing the game. Hey, the AI was able to hit that apex. I guess you can do it. First, and clean race. Right on. And my driving marathon completed. So I get a 6-star for completing my driving marathon, but at the end of collecting the 3 Supras, I'm going to get a 4-star. We all know how they all end up. You get the pile of cash. Although I can't really say that. I've won 2 cars now, a couple of engines, lots of upgrade parts. I'd rather actually have the cash than the upgrade parts, because the upgrade parts are specific to a particular car, and if you don't own the car, it's useless. Alright, final race for the final Supra. This one's raining. It's at Suzuka. And I noticed at the beginning that it was rather cloudy, so I stopped for a second. I thought, wait a minute. I better put some intermediates on this thing. I didn't own any, so I bought some. Put them on. And this was very reminiscent of the final license test for the Super license, because it's a wet track that's drying. And you have to be careful when you're driving on a wet track that you don't touch the curbs if you're trying to turn or accelerate. A little bit like that. Not too bad. You'll see coming up, things get a little ugly. Again, trying not to hit anybody, trying not to hit anything. That didn't work. Got away with it. Down to the hairpin. And I'm thinking, okay, it's wet, so I'm definitely going to be slowing it down. Thankfully, because it is a little bit slippery, as you can see. Got a little bit sideways. Run up the spoon. And I'm like, where are you going? So I sort of waited. Bumped him. Sorry, dude. And then he slowed down again, so again I bumped him, and then I went sideways. And then I went sideways again. And then I had a bit of a moment, and I decided I'll just go sideways again. Press the button. Couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. Oh, I'm in the camera mode. Okay, get out of camera mode. No. I attempted, but no. And then dude hits me. Why didn't you just not hit me? Anyway. Yeah. It's been one of those kind of weird days, you know? Here we are, back straight, in the rain. I get back past this guy, so I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll bounce off your back fender and then off the fence, and that'll toss me around the corner just right. I don't recommend that. I got away with it in this one because there happened to be a fence there. If there hadn't been, yeah, I wouldn't be continuing in a straight line, I'd imagine. Big old moment. Too much curb in the rain, never a good idea. Main straight. You can see the line is starting to dry a little bit. Certainly still not slicks worthy. And it's only a 5-lap race, so a little wide. Trying to get around him without hitting him. Succeeded in doing so. Through the S's. This is where you really want your line perfect. You can carry a lot of speed through there if your line is right. If it's not, by the time you hit Dunlop, you're just losing time. This is Dunlop here. And then down here I'm thinking, okay guys, come on, break it up. I'm gonna zip by you, and I kind of grazed him, not badly, but I did definitely bang fenders with him. And these guys fighting over third. Mr. Izal ends up winning that battle. And there's down to the hairpin again, into first. Going a little wider around this guy to make sure I don't actually run into him, and then trying to accelerate out. He's doing a pretty good job of that too. One more guard to pass. And that's that. Now all I gotta do is not screw up like I did last time, and I got a pretty good chance of actually staying in first place. Helps when there's nobody in front of you for you to run into as well. it still had a pretty exciting moment right there. Managed to keep it pointing in the right direction. Down the back, not really straight, but flat out section, and then with this kink, you gotta slow it down a little bit. On a wet track especially. You see the windshield wipers flapping. Braking it about, in this case, a little bit early, but down in about 150-ish. Down to first gear. Missed that apex. Excuse me again. It's one of those where if you can legally cut off as much of the corner as you can. It shortens the track and usually sets you up for the next corner. Depends on the track. Some of these corners you do not want to hit like that. Some of them got the big sausage curbs. Always stay off the sausage curbs. Turns 1 and 2, trail braking at its best. You come in really fast and then slow down before you get to turn 3. And then into the S's, trying to get my line right. It's not too bad. Taking it kind of gentle through here. Still worried about the track and being as wet as it is. I've already had one major moment. So, being careful. Down to the Degmas. Degma 1 is fast. In the rain, of course, you got to be more careful, but it's actually a very fast corner. You cut the heck out of that. Down to second for this one. Decided, you know, a little rallycross. That'd be fun. And then let's just hit the wall. Yeah. Clean race bonus is out the window. But at least I stayed in first. So you can see now I'm starting to get a drying line here. And the trick to racing on a track with a drying line is stay on the drying line. 2 wheels on the dry, 2 wheels on the wet is bad. And that was with that super license final test. You had to stay on the racing line. You had to stay on that dry section in order to be able to keep your speed up enough to actually get in under the allotted time. Like a little bit wide here, not bad, a little bit wide around the first apex. I missed it. Stayed on the track though. And at this point, the track's dry. And I'm thinking, I got 2 laps to go on intermediates. I don't think tire wear is an issue in this, so it's not a big deal. It just means I'm not going to be as fast as I would be. Coming down into the last chicane, braking again around 150, 120, somewhere in that range. Trying to stay on that dry line. Got that corner much better. Gives you a chance to accelerate out in a little moment. Don't touch the curbs when they're wet. They are slippery. Still got 2 laps to go. I was considering pitting, but I thought, nah, that's silly. Nobody else is going to. I don't know what tires they're using, but they're not going to pit. Down into second for this, and then into the S's. Stay on the dry line. Stay off the curbs. Generally, that's a good idea. When it's wet. Climb all over them if you want to when they're dry. Some of them. Being a bit conservative through the S's. Up around Dunlop. Down to Digma 1. This is full throttle. And then a quick brake downshift into Digma 1 and third. Down to second. Digma 2 went a little bit wider than I would have liked. You can definitely see the drawing line. Into the hairpin, and with just about every hairpin, if you miss the apex, the track gets wider. So not only are you driving farther, but you have to turn faster and harder. The whole thing just compounds to slow you down. Into spoon. The corner I always had a bit of trouble with. Never quite figured out how much to slow down for this final part of it, and then where to accelerate to not end up off the track. Full throttle, dry. You can see the track's mostly dry at this point, so I'm thinking, alright, I can probably get away with this. A lift, lifted in fifth, but a lift got me through no problem. It's still dry. Alright, I'll brake around the 150 board and miss the apex completely. And then that one. We're coming up to final lap, and the track at this point is pretty much dry. This would be right at that section in most races that have wet tires, dry tires, that you'd probably end up in the pits getting your tires changed into something a whole lot smoother. Into the S's. Still got to be careful with the curbs on a drying, even mostly dry track, because they do have a tendency to stay wet and slick. So you got to be careful with your throttle inputs. If you don't give it too much, two tires on that curb will inevitably start spinning, or the one that drives the car will inevitably start spinning faster than the other one does. And you get those kinds of moments where you start going a little sideways. There we go. Stigma 1. Second, a little bit of a, oops. Stigma 2. Wide. Oh, gracious. And that compromises the speed down this, it's not a long straight, but it's a little straight. A chunk of speed you can get into there. Down to first for the hairpin. Accelerate out smoothly. You don't want to spin. And coming up to spoon for the final time. And again, not my best corner in terms of racetracks. And decided, oops, yeah, I'll just skip that part of the track. Oops. Intermediate tires do not track as well as slicks, obviously, on a dry track. And that, I'm blaming them. I'm blaming the fact that I'm wearing intermediates, and, you know, I put them on, so I guess, you know, I'm the responsible party, but still, it's because of the intermediates. Braked correctly, and hit that apex, accelerate out. That was probably the one time of the 5 laps that I managed to do that section properly. That is my third Supra. Yeah, no clean race. Not when you hit the wall twice and another car. But that's it. I've got the 3. Now I can go and see Luca. Thanks for the car, bud. I'm guessing that cafe is closed down. Cool place to park, though, I suppose. So I go and pick up my 4-star roulette ticket, and I come back to see Luca. And I gotta say, at some point, I would love to actually own a new Supra. They are beautiful. They've been around forever. Not forever, you know, quite a while. The 2000 GT. Really interesting fact here. Car entered in the 24-hour Le Mans. That's pretty cool. That's a fast car. Then they took a break. Like the Camaro, they discontinued it for a while. Not 17 years for the Camaro, but then they decided to bring it back, and they brought it back really, really well. It's a gorgeous car. Well, that's it, folks. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Goodbye.